Is not always due to childhood trauma. Yes, it's likely that part of your own vulnerability is genetic, inherited from your parents, your grandparents, and wherever else your DNA has come from over the generations. Yes, there's a clear connection between your childhood anxiety, your teenage depression, and your adult alcohol abuse. Yes, lack of pleasure in life, not a depressed mood, is what clinical depression is all about. No, you weren't a lazy teenager who just couldn't get out of bed. Getting the right medication at the right time, combined with the psychological or behavioural therapy that works, is the best way out of this hole and the best way not to go back this way again. No, it's not work stress, but it's the change in seasons that's killing you. No, exercising more and eating healthy is not enough to keep you well. No, your weight gain problem is not just about overeating. Yes, there are a whole lot of new treatments out there, but they're not all equally good. It's not that you've gone off your partner, but your new medication is killing your libido. Many good books have been written about clinical depression. As community awareness has increased over the past 2 decades, more people have now come forward for help. Many have received effective medical treatments or psychological therapies and are getting on with their lives. Many have shared their personal stories, at least among their close family and friends. From the way most people reacted positively to these advances, I thought that the public communication of the underlying science and the real progress that was made was headed in the right direction. But more than 20 years into the 21st century, I'm no longer convinced that the arc of progress, to paraphrase Martin Luther King Jr., is heading to a more inclusive or even more accurate place. Information sources are now very chaotic. The place of good clinical care is increasingly crowded out by many competing voices. Disreputable options are presented as miracle cures, sold actively to unsuspecting or naive general public. At the same time, intriguing new options are dismissed as medical mirages or are only available to those who have access to critical knowledge or the capacity to pay large additional fees. Over the past decade, the broader mental health of nations has taken some unexpected turns. Most notably, the rates of psychological distress and self-harming behaviours, particularly in young women, have shot up. But does this really indicate that rates of clinical depression and other major disorders are rising? Are those changes due to the adverse impacts of new social media? Or is there something more pernicious afoot in our wider society? Why are young people apparently bearing the burden of these major shifts in mental health problems and related self-harm? And all this started long before the unexpected arrival of COVID-19. The mental health of every country has been impacted by the pandemic, even Australia and New Zealand, which evaded the massive physical health impacts. Suicide rates have remained stubbornly high, despite greater public awareness and preventive health initiatives. Most health systems were unable to meet the increasing demand for mental health care pre-COVID-19. How will they cope now? Will those in need of high-quality clinical care be worse off? An unexpected upside from the COVID-19 pandemic is a growing public interest in mental health and well-being. Most of us were perturbed as our basic assumptions about work, education, financial security, physical health, family and community cohesion, travel and planning for the future went out the window. Community surveys about anxiety and depression, alcohol use, calls to helpline, and the use of emergency mental health services all show we are living in more troubled times. If, during these tough periods, we do retreat from the arc of progress on common mental disorders, it is those with clinical depression and their families and carers who will most likely feel the hurt. This book aims to put their experiences and their need for real information back at the centre of mental health care. The questions addressed here are most frequently raised with me by people who have clinical depression and their families. I hope to dispel common myths, such as antidepressants don't work or that they cause suicide, depression is due to childhood trauma, teaching kids resilience will prevent all depressions. But also make clear what we don't yet know and what areas of scientific research, brain science, and social inquiry can deliver new insights. We also need to consider the impacts of bad information on those engaged in providing care across the health, education, and other social service systems, these places where the daily impacts of these illnesses play out. Some healthcare providers may find this book informative and a tool to assist in open discussion with people with depression and their families. If so, I hope they share.